If Heather or anyone responsible for her disappearance is watching this, the message is the same: we miss you. We want you back home. We don't understand what happened, and we don't need to. There's nothing to forgive, no laws broken. If you can see this and are able to come home, please do. Or at least call us. We're so confused, we just want to hear from you. Picturesque Horry County, South Carolina, is known for its beauty, featuring numerous beaches like the famous Myrtle Beach, lush forests, flowing rivers, and lively towns. It's a peaceful place for many to live. 20-year-old Heather was the eldest daughter of South Carolina natives Terry and Debbie Elvis. She was extremely close to her parents and younger sister. Her father once described their relationship saying, "We've always been a close family where everyone takes care of each other." Heather had a particularly special bond with her father, exchanging daily texts with him. After graduating from St. James High School in 2011, Heather, ever independent, wanted to move out and share an apartment with her best friend, Brianna Warleen. Her parents fully supported her decision. By the age of 20, Heather worked hard as a waitress at a Scottish-themed restaurant, the Tilted Kilt, in Myrtle Beach. She was also studying cosmetology, aiming to become a full-time makeup artist, which had always been her dream. Heather's younger sister, Morgan, shared how passionate Heather was about her goals, saying she loved makeup and dreamed of being in front of the camera. She had no boundaries when it came to dreaming. Heather was known not only for her creativity and ambition, but also for her warm, carefree personality. She was well liked by everyone in town. A friend described her as full of personality, while another said Heather was outgoing, free-spirited, and loved life. She always lived it to the fullest. By the summer of 2013, Heather had been living in Myrtle Beach for about a year, and things were going well. However, a fateful meeting at her job would trigger a series of tragic events. In June, while working a shift at the Tilted Kilt, Heather met 37-year-old Sidney Moorer, a father of 3 and local maintenance man. Heather was immediately drawn to him. She even tweeted about her attraction, saying, "I've got a taste for men who are older." As their interactions continued, Heather's crush on Sidney became more apparent. By July, she was posting flirtatious social media messages about him, and her co-workers noticed their growing connection. However, rumors of an affair started swirling, and things began to spiral out of control. By mid-September, the pressure of the secret relationship was wearing on Heather, and she hinted at a possible end to the affair through her social media posts. Things worsened when Sidney's wife, Tammy Moorer, discovered the relationship. Tammy confronted Heather, belittling and humiliating her over the phone, and made sure Sidney did the same. Brianna, Heather's best friend, later shared how Tammy and Sidney tore Heather apart emotionally during that phone call. Tammy, furious at her husband's infidelity, wasn't content with merely ending the affair. She launched a campaign of harassment against Heather, relentlessly calling her workplace and even sending videos of herself with Sidney to torment her. Heather was terrified of Tammy's actions, telling Sidney to make it stop. Despite her distress, Heather tried to move forward with her life. She attended church with Brianna and focused on her goals. She was excited about a new job as a makeup artist and even went on a date with a new guy, Steve. But Sidney was never far from her mind. On the night of December 17th, Heather went out with Steve and they had a pleasant evening. Later, Steve dropped her off at her apartment. But after returning home, Heather received a call from Sidney claiming he had left his wife and wanted to see her. This upset Heather, and when she called Brianna in tears, her friend urged her to think carefully before doing anything. The following day, December 19th, police found Heather's car abandoned at Peachtree Landing, a remote area near Myrtle Beach. Terry Elvis, Heather's father, was shocked when he learned about the discovery, but didn't immediately panic. However, the investigation that followed uncovered disturbing details and raised alarming questions. What happened to Heather Elvis remains a mystery, but the case continues to haunt her family and the Myrtle Beach community. It's possible Heather's car was stolen due to the way it was parked, or someone may have taken it and left it there. However, Heather's father, Terry, grew increasingly concerned when he realized Heather was missing. After police failed to find her purse, keys, or cell phone in her car, Terry tried calling her mobile again, but it was turned off. He then contacted her workplace, the Tilted Kilt, only to be told that Heather wasn't there and wasn't scheduled to work until the following day. Immediately, Terry knew something was wrong. "This is totally out of the ordinary," he said. "Heather's never done anything like this before." Initially, the police didn't consider Peachtree Landing or Heather's car as crime scenes, since there was no broken glass, signs of a struggle, or blood. However, they quickly opened a missing persons case, and search efforts began. Officers, along with volunteers, combed through the area, including the river, while others expanded their search across multiple counties by boat, ATV, foot, and horseback. Despite their tireless efforts, Heather remained missing. Heather, a 20-year-old, disappeared after a date in the early hours of December 18th. Her father recalled a text Heather sent him that night, showing her excitement about learning to drive a stick shift, something she had struggled with before. The next day, when she didn't show up for work, the police found her car abandoned near a boat landing close to her parents' home. Her family, holding on to hope, kept her Christmas presents under the tree, waiting for her return. Though human remains were found near the boat landing, they were later identified as belonging to a male unrelated to Heather's case. With no physical evidence, detectives began tracing Heather's final movements from December 17th to 18th. Her last known date, Steve Scaley, was questioned and quickly cleared. However, attention soon shifted to a man named Sidney Moorer, with whom Heather had been romantically involved. Detectives learned about Heather's relationship with Sidney through Heather's roommate, Brianna, and staff at the Tilted Kilt. Sidney was brought in for questioning but denied being near Peachtree Landing or having any contact with Heather that night. He claimed he had been with his wife, Tammy, at the time, even providing phone recordings of their interactions as supposed proof. Despite his evasive behavior, detectives were certain he was lying, they just needed the evidence. Upon reviewing Heather's phone records, detectives discovered several calls made on the morning of December 18th from an unfamiliar number. Heather had received a call from a payphone and had tried to call the number back 9 times, which raised suspicions. Security footage from a gas station near Myrtle Beach captured Sidney making that call, and when confronted, Sidney initially denied it but eventually admitted to calling her. Tammy was also questioned and denied any involvement in Heather's disappearance, claiming she didn't care about her husband's affair. However, police uncovered further incriminating evidence through surveillance footage. A few hours before the phone call, Sidney had purchased a pregnancy test from a Walmart, which he claimed was for his wife, but investigators were skeptical. More damning evidence emerged when footage captured a truck matching Sidney's heading toward Peachtree Landing at around 3:36 a.m. on December 18th and leaving 10 minutes later. Investigators later confirmed the truck was a match to Sidney's. Additionally, Heather's phone records placed her at the landing shortly before it was turned off. With mounting evidence, police obtained a search warrant for the Moorer home. They discovered that the couple had disposed of their home surveillance system and installed a new one after Heather disappeared. Further video footage showed Sydney and Tammy scrubbing the passenger side of their truck and burning the rags they used. By February 2014, the police finally made a breakthrough and arrested Sydney and Tammy Moorer, charging them with kidnapping and, eventually, murder. Despite their denials, the case against them continued to grow stronger. As the investigation dragged on, Heather's family remained devastated. They held prayer vigils, hoping for any information that would lead to finding their daughter. The couple, however, protested their innocence, with Sydney even appearing in media interviews to claim he was being framed. This resulted in Sydney being jailed for 5 months for violating a gag order placed on the case. The case stretched into 2017, when Sydney was found guilty of obstruction of justice and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Finally, in 2019, after years of waiting, Tammy and Sydney Moorer went to trial for kidnapping. Both were found guilty and sentenced to 30 years in prison each. Though justice was served in court, Heather's body has never been found. Her family continues to search for answers, keeping her memory alive by hosting community events and distributing missing persons flyers. Her mother, Debbie, has vowed to never give up, knowing the heartbreak of not knowing where her daughter is, and she channels her pain into helping others in similar situations. Her father, Terry, still holds onto a faint hope that Heather might one day walk through the front door, though he admits deep down he doesn't believe it will happen. For now, the Elvis family clings to the possibility that someone, someday, will come forward with the information they need to finally bring Heather home.